Today we're going to look at my final gear loadout for my 2019 Philmont Trek. This is after Shakedown number 3. And if you're new to the channel, this channel is all about backpacking, outdoor adventures, and gear, most definitely gear. And a few tips and tricks along the way too. So if you happen to like any of those things, consider subscribing, because then you'll be updated every time I post new content. And there is a lot of new content coming. So sit back, relax, let's dive right in. Well, hey everybody, Andy here. Thanks for joining me again today. And we are going to look at my gear loadout for 2019. I've gone through 3 different shakedowns. We've made a lot of changes. If you haven't seen the previous videos, I will link them down below. Maybe put a link up above too for you. Go check those out. You can see just what I started with even 6 months ago and how that's morphed over time into what you're going to see today. And I'm also going to link down below my lighterpack.com page, which is what I use to inventory all of my gear, keep it organized, help me build out my list, help me make adjustments, see the weights, see the different categories. Very useful website. Go check that out. Well, this is it all laid out, what I'm taking to Philmont 2019. So we're going to go through all of these kind of group by group. If you find this useful or helpful, informative, please leave a like. I appreciate it. So let's start with my big 3. I'm going to have my pack, which is the Z-Pack's Arc Blast. It's a 55-liter pack. It's made out of Dyneema, so it's for the most part waterproof. You can get, pinholes and things like that in it. So just as a precaution, I've also lined it with a Nylon Flume pack liner just for a little redundancy to keep everything dry. And the things inside that I'm most worried about keeping dry are my sleep system, for example. That's my Enlightened Equipment Enigma 20-degree down quilt. And that's not going to be in a stuff sack like pictured. It's just going to be stuffed in the bottom of that pack liner. And then next to that, I've got my Thermarest X-Therm and my Snug Pack inflatable pillow, and that's going to be my sleep system. Next to that is my shelter. That is the Z-Pack's Triplex, and I have 8 aluminum Y stakes there as well. And then underneath my trekking poles is the 5x7 poly cryo sheet that I will bring to use under the tent, but mainly the vestibule area, because this tent doesn't require that you have a ground sheet. So that's going to be a little bit of redundancy, but also the ability to use that under my vestibule, so I can use it to lay out gear in the mornings too, as I'm packing stuff up. So just a little bit of convenience. Then that brings a 2-ounce penalty, that poly cryo sheet. And then I've got my Black Diamond. Those are my trekking poles, the Alpine carbon cork. And I'm going to be carrying those, so that's actually not in my packed weight. That's going to be in my worn section. And those are my big 3. Comes to, let's see, the pack and liner is about 1.55 pounds. The sleep system, the one thing that's not mentioned in the, or not shown in the sleep system, I'm also going to have a couple foam earplugs just to help with any other noisy sleepers that we may have, help me get a good night's sleep. So those will be in that sleep system. That comes to 2.81 pounds. And then my shelter, the stakes, the ground sheet, and the tent come to 1.92 pounds. And those are my big 3. Now as we move over to my packed clothing, I'm going to have 2 layers of insulative jackets or pullovers. I originally was just going to wear my Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer jacket. That's a down jacket there, the blue one. But because of the recent email that I got from Philmont saying they've had an unusually cool spring and they're forecasted to have an unusually cool July, I'm actually bringing my Patagonia, that is the R1 pullover fleece with hood So I will be bringing that just as an extra layer to hike in. That one's synthetic, so I don't worry about that one getting wet. Perspiration, things like that, where the Mountain Hardwear, I typically don't hike in it very much. That's more for evenings and mornings, sitting around camp, getting things packed up. You know, if we wake up and it's 35 degrees, that goes on, but the Patagonia is something that I'll wear as we're hiking potentially, and for an extra layer if it's really chilly, some of those mornings or some of those evenings. We do have a camp that's above 10,000 feet one night, and we have two others that I believe that are above 9,000 feet, and those can tend to be a little cooler than some of the other campsites, which may only be down into the 50s overnight on average. So those are my two insulating layers. I also have a small smart wool hat and just some wool glove liners that will be in case it's really chilly. So those will be my insulative pieces. I've also got a Columbia, that's a featherweight long sleeve shirt, and a Columbia just hiking shorts. That'll be in my packed kit. In addition to that, I'll have two Darn Tough hiking socks. One will be kind of designated for my sleeping gear, and one will be for hiking as a backup. And then I will have an extra pair of boxers and some thermals, just a smart wool long sleeve top, and a Polar Tech synthetic bottom is what I'm bringing along to save a little weight. And then I've got the Dyneema stuff sack, dry bag that those will go in. All of my clothing fits into those except for the two jackets, which I keep a little bit more accessible towards the top of my pack. Now, in addition, I also have my rain gear. Those are my Montbell Versalite jacket and pants. So I'll be bringing those they're great as just wind jackets and pants if you know we're at elevation and you need to worry about it just being really windy conditions. But it also fits over you know, my puffy jacket, so that you know, for colder weather and just an outer shell, it's going to fit that role. Now I will probably sleep in my thermals is what I'm thinking right now, but the alternative to that is to just have my boxers be what I sleep in, and my thermal top. So those will be options for sleeping. Now I also have the clothes and things that I'll be carrying with me. So I'll have a sun hat, outdoor research. I'll have some sunglasses. I'll have some dry fit short sleeve shirt. I'll have another set of boxers and Darn Tough socks, and some convertible pants that I'll wear, and that's just the belt sitting on top of it that I can use with the shorts also, and that's just a very lightweight nylon belt. In addition, I will have some Dirty Girl gaiters that I'll use to keep the dust and sand and everything out of my shoes, and then I will have my Lone Peak 4s. Those are ultras. That will be my trail hiking shoe. And then my camp shoes are just going to be some basic flip-flops. I wanted something that can completely air out my feet, since these are technically my hikers and my camp shoes. Any activities that we do at our destination camps, I'll be done in these. Will be done in these. And then these are just for sitting around, allowing my feet to air out while I'm sitting at camp. Then I'll also have just an ID bracelet that I'll bring for peace of mind. And that's my Casio Pro Trek watch, which will have altimeter, barometer, compass, and thermometer to help with some readings that we may need as we go along. And that's my worn items. And then my packed items, my packed clothes. Now as we move over, we're going to have things like my poop kit, which is just a titanium trowel. It's going to have some TP, probably just what they issue us at camp. And I have also some hand sanitizer that's in that baggie as well. I've got my Osprey ultralight day pack that comes in at about 4 ounces. That's going to be used when we summit Baldy. So if you have any day hikes, that's what I'm bringing that for. I'm also going to have my my cook kit. I'm just going to have a cup and bowl and spoon that I'm going to bring. They're all inside of that. And in addition, I've got in there right now is my buff. So that's going to be something that I typically wear, but it's in there right now just to keep everything from rattling around. But you can use it as a pot holder and things like that. So that's why I've typically had that in there in the past. Then I've got my first aid / utility kit. I am partnering with my son so that we're going to have one kit that's for both of us. So we'll have our toothbrushes in there, our toothpaste, sunscreen, lip balm, any medications. Mostly that's just going to be Advil, Imodium, maybe some Benadryl in there. I'll have some Leukotape for blisters and things like that. Just a small amount because we also do have a crew kit that's going to have moleskin and other things like that. A few bandages, pretty basic. And based on the gear shakedown that we just had this morning, our final one, it was determined that actually my son is going to carry this. So I'll have it listed in my base weight, but I'm actually going to hand that off to him and let him carry that. Now I'm going to have a few electronics. I've got my Nightcore rechargeable headlamp, so I'll be using that. I'll have an Anchor battery and cords that will help keep that charged, as well as my phone. We'll also have that in this kit as well. And then I've got a Anchor 21 watt solar panel that will be used to keep these charged. And I also have my camera kit. I'm not including that in my base weight since most people are not bringing, a full camera kit. So I've got actually probably a couple pounds, probably a little over 2 pounds worth of camera gear that I will be bringing to just to film our experience there, and another 20,000 milliamp Anchor battery for all the camera gear in addition to these. But most people don't have that, so a lot of people don't include that in their base weight. I will have it in my overall pack weight, but not for this. Then I've got my water kit next to that. I've got a Smart Wool water bottle, liter bottle that I'll be bringing. Also, what's not pictured here is my Gatorade bottle. I will have a 20-ounce wide mouth Gatorade bottle for all of my smellable drinks that I get as part of the Philmont meal plan. Occasionally you get drink mixes and things like that. So having something that can be a wide mouth, like an Nalgene, is what I'm looking to do. So I am the only one in the crew that's bringing a Sawyer squeeze. So that's my piece of crew gear and the plunger to keep it clean. So the 2-liter bag is an Evernew bag on the top and a 2-liter bag from Canuck, and the Sawyer mesh bag to keep all of that in. We will also get drops, or I'm sorry, we will also get tablets when we arrive at Philmont. So we don't have to bring any of our own, and that will be our primary source of treatment. But if we get to one of the water sources and it's kind of gnarly, and the boys are a little hesitant about drinking with a lot of particulate matter in the water, we can run it through the Sawyer and filter out the larger particulates and then treat the water in addition, just to make sure we kill the viruses, because the Sawyer squeeze will catch the Giardia and the Cryptosporidium and the bacteria, but it will not capture viruses. So just to make sure, we're going to always be treating with the chemical tablets as well. So I'm also bringing my Helinox Chair Zero for some seating just around camp. And I will also have a few bags that I'll bring. I'll have a few Ziploc bags like these, and I will have, this is going to be my bear bag. So all of my smellables at the end of the day will go into this bag, and this will also keep my food. So everything into that big bag, and then up in the bear bag at the end of the day. So if you take all those items and you weigh them, my full pack comes to 15 and a half, just over 15 and a half. It's 15.6 pounds. Now I've got a section of that kit that, based on our last shakedown, my son's going to be carrying. So our little first aid / hygiene / utility kit, that's going to go into his bag. So that saves me 12 and a half ounces. So that puts me down 14.8 pounds. So that's my setup that I'll be taking this coming weekend out to Philmont. And we'll also be doing some other videos here on the channel with Philmont preparation in mind. So for example, one is going to be a look at what items started in my kit that didn't make it. Where did I cut my weight? What types of strategies did I use to get my weight down? It started, if you remember, at 22 and a half pounds, and now we're down under 15 pounds. So the next one we're going to look at is what worked and what didn't on my 2019 Philmont trek. So that'll be useful, hopefully, to you to look at what did I take, what did I not use, what didn't work well, what did work well, just to give you more information as you prepare for your trek. We'll also be filming out at Philmont, so kind of documenting our trek, what our experience is like, what things did we learn, maybe some helpful information for you to know what you've got coming up. So look for that when we get back. That'll probably be a lot of footage and a lot of time editing that down to something that's useful, but keep an eye out for that. And then finally, I'm going to be doing a 3-part series with Philmont preparation in mind, helping people go through looking at building their big 3, your backpack, your sleep system, your shelter, with Philmont in mind. So we'll look at the pros and cons, all the different options that are out there. I know that can be a little bit daunting, so let's try and make it a little easier, simpler, give you kind of a guide going through that process of what types of things you should keep in mind, what types of things should you look for, what works well, what doesn't, with regard to specifically a Philmont trek. So thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Be well.